CyberTech Worlds Clash, a fanfiction by Outlaw Realms. Chapter 3. United. Harry sighed as he flopped naked, except the gauntlet on his left forearm, into his leather chair in his lab office with a tired sigh later that evening, at just after 5. He had only just returned from kicking the crap out of Voldemort and giving that fucked up Order of the Phoenix his warning, but something about the black-haired, hazel-eyed wizard bothered him. It didn't help that the red-haired woman next to him looked familiar. Seraph suddenly entered the lab from the elevator carrying a neatly folded pile of clothes, and placing them on the table next to Harry for him to wear. He didn't really think about much except the two people as Seraph continued to check every electronic archive on the planet for details on either of the two mages. Harry slowly dressed himself in thought, wondering where the heck he had seen them before. It seemed like a very old long-lost memory, which made him rethink about the memory and dream reader Wonderland put on hold because it was proving tricky, and dangerous because that would be useful right then. They were soon to start some collaboration on the tech with Stark Industries, as Stark was the foremost expert when it came to the mind and technology, as that was how he controlled his armor, whereas Harry's was built to be an extension of his body, and had a built-in AI that worked with the wearer in a symbiotic relationship rather than a collaborative one. Though Harry wasn't sure what worked better when it came to armor, he was sure that with his cybertronic and cybermorphic armor his way was best. It just wouldn't work well otherwise. Though, he supposed if he combined Stark's mental controllers and his symbiotic controllers it could boost efficiency of either Knight or Iron Man armor models. Before he knew it, Harry had dressed in a neat pair of dark blue trousers and shiny black shoes with a white shirt and blue tie with blue jacket. Damn, for such stuffy business attire it always surprises me with how comfortable they are, he commented to himself, but caught Seraph rolling her eyes as she neatened his tie and was doing up his jacket neatly for him. So, have you got anything on these two yet? Seraph frowned and looked worried, but taking an unnecessary deep breath spoke anyway. I couldn't find much on the man, and since the woman turned 11 her existence thins out. However, he is James Potter and she is Lily Potter, formerly Evans. Harry just stood staring at the file pictures up on the hollow screen for a few moments, looking to only be seconds away from losing his temper. He started taking deep breath after deep breath until he calmed down a little. As in, he trailed off, unable to ask as his anger at the thought flared up. Yes, darling, she agreed and paused for only a moment before continuing. They are the birth parents of Harry Avalon. Why the fuck are they alive? He hissed and demanded angrily. Though those fucks should be dead. Harry growled as he grabbed at his company's latest smartphone from the side and didn't have to look to know it was suddenly auto-syncing with everything he needed, as he didn't know where his last one got to, but knew it had likely been unsynced, and completely erased. He was pretty sure Seraph knew where his last phone was, but he didn't ask. He might have to go and fetch it if he asked questions like that, and it could be anywhere in the building. Harry placed his phone in his pocket as he walked towards the elevator out. Grabbing his long black coat, he put it on as he entered the elevator, quickly followed by Seraph, as the door closed behind him, and the lift ascended. Are you going to tell me where you are going? Seraph asked expectantly. Harry sighed as he allowed himself to calm a little. I'm going to confront them, he replied nonchalant. Then I'm going to, he groaned as he deflated more. I don't know, all I want is some answers. If those people really are my parents, I want to know why they dumped me with those things. You do realize what it could mean if they are, don't you? She asked. He just looked at her a little confused. She rolled her eyes. You could have magic too, she giggled as his eyes widened in realization. He may be a brilliant scientist, but sometimes he really didn't think things through. Harry shrugged as the elevator reached ground level and opened into the lobby. The pair continued out, walking towards the main doors, Harry's coat swishing out behind him. "Well, anyway, that doesn't concern me. I hope my limo will be waiting," he added, staring at her. Seraph giggled and nodded. "Of course, it will. I'm too brilliant to forget to call it for you." Harry chuckled with a tired sigh. "Well, send the location of the nearest magical nest to my driver and keep tracking me no matter where I go." "Already done, and on it right away. The SatTechs are already recalibrating the systems and boosting the power output to follow you more closely." She grinned as he gave her a quick kiss on the lips and quickly sped out of the front doors, leaving her within the hard light holographic emitters of the building. "That's so unfair," whined a cute young female security guard by the doors. Seraph looked at her curiously. "Even the computer can get laid by a cute guy," she joked as she looked shyly at the cosplaying holographic representation of the Seraph network. Seraph giggled and kissed her on the lips, startling her before pulling back and sticking her tongue out, winking and disappearing in a shimmer of light. "Ugh, Seraph," she whined, pouting. "You could have at least slipped me some tongue." She mumbled the last, half-jokingly. "Maybe next time, sweetie," giggled Seraph's voice seemingly all around her. The security girl blushed deeply, making a mental note not to express her thoughts aloud at work anymore since Seraph would hear her and mock her. Harry slipped into the back of his stretched black limo, and the driver immediately started pulling out into the road and following the CyberTech sat-nav. The driver learned when Harry hired him not to bother opening the doors for him since he was always rushing around and did not like waiting for the formalities. Harry sat back as he found an earpiece in the charging dock in the car door, and placed a black Bluetooth earpiece in his right ear and switched it on as it auto-synced to his new phone, as he knew Seraph would do all of that behind the scenes so he didn't have to think about it. "Seraph, what can you actually find out about these people?" he asked as he shut himself off from his driver with a gesture of his right hand. It didn't work, so he sighed and pressed the button instead. "Nothing substantial through the internet," she replied over his earpiece while sounding amused. "However, there are plenty of rumors about witches and wizards circulating, though I can't be certain what are correct, and which are not." "What about the Avengers database?" "I'm certain they may have run across a mage or two these past few years dealing with Hydra and all those other Muppets." Seraph laughed. "You want me to hack Stark's system, are you crazy?" she asked. "You know it won't look good for you if I'm caught hacking them, and they may get nosy, which could get S.H.I.E.L.D. involved, and then, as they say, the shit will hit the fan. Though I'm still not sure why they say that other than the obvious waste matter getting splattered all over. Plus, hacking them just because Starks tried that with my systems is not justification. I did set up that delightful Trojan to glitch out their systems, but jerks found it too quick." Okay, Harry was quick to interrupt. I get it, we don't need the bother. And I quite frankly don't want to end up working with them on this, as they won't approve of my methods. Though, I would rather not kill. They are the enemy, for now I shall, until we can secure them, and then, damn, I guess we'll have to build a facility to hold them. Yeah, she agreed as she paused a moment. Well, they have tried to build a facility within the UK, a new super prison. They have run out of money as they went over budget because of incompetent management. We were supplying them security systems. We could take over the project and privatize it and add in methods for keeping Mage captive. Harry nodded with a thoughtful smirk. That sounds like something I would do. How long until we can have it up and running? A few months, she replied to his shock. They couldn't afford our security systems, she answered his unasked question. The place could keep some powered beings captive, but not the rest. It doesn't even have cameras. They had been thinking of trying to get cheaper systems from shady sources. Okay, we can run a super prison, Harry said thoughtfully. Make it so, and speak with Cornelia about the distortion fields getting some new upgrades based on our findings. Already doing that, and Seraph sounded exasperated. She's pretty excited about this whole magic people business. Yeah, I'm glad I went out, he replied sheepishly. Seraph just laughed as the limo finally pulled over to the side of the road and he slipped out, closing the door, before opening the passenger side. Mac, you can leave, I'll call if I need a ride back, okay? Yes sir, the guy agreed as Harry closed the door and he pulled back out into busy traffic. So, where do I go from here? Harry asked while looking around, but all he saw was a pub in between a video game store and a sandwich shop. Straight ahead of you, Seraph replied over the Bluetooth. It's the central building. According to every internet map service through the net, the central building does not exist, but the satellites can see it. It's some kind of grimy-looking pub with a sign saying it's called the Leaky Cauldron. If I ever needed sustenance, I would choose the sandwich shop next door. Good call, he agreed, amused. Heck, they probably don't take real money anyway, so I luck out there, he said as he quickly pushed the door open and entered, startling as he heard the Bluetooth start crackling for a moment. Sorry about that, Seraph said suddenly. That building and a few miles behind it are under some kind of field that I figure is supposed to hide them. However, it also seems that it was interfering with the signal momentarily. However, I adjusted the frequency to match the barriers and upped the signal strength. CyberTech say the harmonizing of frequencies is apparently fascinating and want to scan as much of it as they can now tune a satellite to scan for those fields. Okay. As long as it's not dangerous and they won't lose track of me, then go right ahead, Harry replied. Wow, you're just exciting all of the nerds today, darling, she replied while holding in a snicker. Harry rolled his eyes and ignored that comment. Just keep scanning, use my phone as well, now I'm in the barrier to get a better judge of it from the inside, he said as he finally looked around to see a bunch of people wearing robes sitting around drinking or eating at grimy and dark-looking tables. Damn, if I tried to open a bar like this it would never have a customer. These people are morons. I totally agree, Seraph commented. However, I've finished a scan, and although I can't tell how many layers, I'm certain there is more than one barrier, possibly multiple for different uses. It stands to reason that they would want to protect themselves from other wizards. Agreed, he replied as he approached the bar, getting a very strange look from the old filthy-looking man behind the bar. Darn, didn't these fools know how to wash well, anything? What can I get ya? The dirty old man asked as if expecting Harry to want a drink in such a shithole of a pub. Harry made a mental note for some time in the future to buy this place and clean it up. He was sure nobody in their right mind would want to walk into this magical place from the street to see the inside was less clean than the path outside. Information, Harry finally replied. The old barman's eyebrows rose in mild interest. I'm looking for Lily and James Potter. The girl who lived's parents, he asked in shock, eyes widening. Heck, I don't even think you know who's bothering to find them anymore. Girl who lived? Harry replied curiously. Who's the girl who lived? He asked, though he knew in part, but it made him angry, and knew he would have to protect her from these morons. The man snorted. You know, Amanda Potter, the girl who survived the killing curse while she was just a baby and destroyed you-know-who. Harry frowned. So that's what Snakeface meant by someone using magic to survive the killing curse. Harry groaned while rolling his eyes when he thought of the you-know-who bit and replied. No, I don't know who, he asked. The barman looked beyond surprised. Well, the Dark Lord, surely you've heard of him. Oh, Harry replied as he realized who he meant. You mean that Voldemort? The barman flinched, but Harry just continued. Wanker. Well, I only have business with Lily and James, not their daughter. Though that was the truth when he came here, now it was not, as he wanted to see whether they had a chance at a relationship. What kind of business? Interrupted a balding red-haired man who wore a grey robe suit, leaving his seat further down the bar and carrying some kind of juice in his glass. He was there, with that old fart, Seraph commented as an image appeared in his right eye for a few moments as she sent a picture to the contact there. He's your chance to get to them the easy way, which is lying your ass off if you have to. He looks pretty gullible and way too trusting. He's no doubt one of those that worships Dumbledore. I'm a lawyer, Harry just lied as he agreed with Seraph readily. I'm afraid I can't discuss it with you, as it is a sensitive and confidential topic, Mr. The man nodded a little uncertainly. I'm Arthur Weasley, he said, offering his hand with a small smile. Harry shook it, a little surprised this man was so easily swayed. I'm a friend of the Potters, he continued. Well, I'm Harry Avalon, Harry responded as he released his hand. He held back a grimace as he was stupid enough to give his real name, but he was thankful the man showed no sign of recognition. Well, I don't suppose you'll take me to them, would you? He asked hopefully. They aren't in some kind of trouble, are they? Arthur asked a little worriedly. Harry smiled. No, I just have a few matters to discuss with them. He couldn't actually say he wanted to beat the living shit out of them then transform into his armor and slaughter them. Though he knew he wouldn't, it was what he wanted, after all they betrayed him. Mr. Weasley smiled. Let me see your left forearm. Harry blinked in surprise and got nervous. Why? He asked in confusion, and gulped. Arthur looked surprised and a little suspicious. Because if you're not a Death Eater you won't have the dark mark on your arm, he replied reasonably. Oh, well, I'm not even a wizard. I'm from the outside, he answered as he lifted his arm with a sheepish smile. Sorry, it doesn't come off, it's just a fancy computer, and the key's back in the office. It's so important information can't be stolen. Harry looked up from his arm as he pulled his sleeve back down and startled as the man had a look of awe on his face. Wow, that is brilliant, he said after a few moments. The things you muggles come up with, he continued, staring at the device in Harry's ear in wonderment. That thing, is it a phone like my daughter's friend showed me once? She said these phones are advancing so. No, Harry quickly interrupted as he pulled a sleek black phone from his pocket which housed his company logo as it was on his company's network. The earpiece is just wirelessly connected to the phone so I can talk while having both hands free, he answered as he put his phone back into his pocket. That is absolutely incredible, he answered, amazed and grinning broadly. But I suppose you're a busy man and need to see the Potters soon, he said, chuckling as Harry nodded in agreement. Yes sir, very much so, if it's not too much trouble, he agreed with a smile. Harry found he liked this guy. He supposed that he may be too trusting, but he had got a good heart in his chest and certainly was a good man. Hopefully he'll see reason when his identity was discovered and not fight for the crazy old man. Okay, follow me, the man said as he walked Harry over to the fireplace and handed him some odd grey powder. I can't take you to the Potters and back as I have to get back to work after some incident, but I can take you to my house where my daughter can take you and bring you back." Harry nodded in agreement but just stared confusedly at the powder. Arthur chuckled. "Just throw it in the fire and say loudly and clearly, 'The burrow,' then step into the emerald flames and it will take you there. I'll be in right behind you." Harry shrugged in thought. "This should be interesting," he chuckled as he threw it in. Startled as the huge emerald flames flared up, he stepped into them. "The burrow," he said. Harry felt himself spinning around and around, but it was more like twisting and turning, hurtling fast. He got glimpses of what he guessed to be other fireplaces, and could hear Seraph speak her amazement. "Harry," Seraph said in awe. "I've had to increase my sense of time by quite a margin to see and hear what's happening in there. This is warping space-time or something like that. I'm scanning as much as I can. Wonderland will love when I show them these readings." "You can perceive a passage of time," she said in awe. "But here it's been less than the second it took to step through the flames. It's like you're in 3 places at once. The start point, the end point, which is further southwest, and within some kind of network of wormholes, and then you're also within this event horizon." "Yeah," Harry mumbled while feeling queasy. "I'm glad you're enjoying the bastardization of science because I feel like I'm going to hurl." "Well, lucky you're not going far," she replied. 2, 1, Seraph counted down smugly. Harry was just thinking he was going to puke when he went flying out in a burst of emerald flames, tripping and landing with a crash to the floor. "Oh, by the way, brace yourself, you are not going to stick the landing," Seraph commented while sounding like she was trying unsuccessfully not to laugh. "Yeah, once you stepped in and were swept away you stopped stepping forward, so the momentum just tossed you out. It seems to me that you need to think of it more as an automatic door, or like those spinning doorways in older office buildings. You don't stop walking." Harry groaned in frustration as he was going to inform Seraph that forewarning would have been nice, but knew that was no good anyway as he couldn't move much while trapped in the energy of that wormhole network. He would just have to remember to carry on his step next time and hope for the best. However, he was distracted by some giggling, which caused him to look up in surprise. Scrambling to his feet, Harry quickly started brushing soot from his clothes, and blushing as he looked around the mismatched yet homely-looking lounge with weird things all over the place, such as a clock that had named hands with what was likely family members' names on them, and places like home, school, and mortal peril on it instead of numbers. Somebody had issues when they thought about a freaky clock that had mortal peril as an option for family members. However, better than the crazy clock were the 2 cute girls about his age sitting on a sofa together in stitches while they giggled at him. "Damn stupid fireplace." The girl with the orange and red hair with cute freckles dancing over her nose with chocolate-colored eyes winked at him while the other with raven black hair and brilliant green eyes rolled them at her friend. They both wore similar black-robed outfits that somehow hugged them in extremely complimentary ways, more like long dresses than robes. "Wow, Ginny," the raven-haired girl giggled. "When did you get a function on your fire to spit out cute men?" "I don't know, Amy, but I'm glad we have it," giggled the red-haired girl. Hi," said Harry, blushing a little more in embarrassment. "I'm Harry." "Well, I'm Amanda Potter and this is Ginny Weasley," said the raven-haired young woman, both standing with mischievous grins. Harry smiled a little, hoping very much that Amanda did not know of his existence, because if she did it might mean she didn't want him. Though it could mean that she was stopped. Though, in fairness, he just wanted his sister. As he looked at her, it was like he had always been missing her and only just then realized she had been stolen from him. "Oh, so you've already met Mr. Avalon interrupted Arthur from behind as he stepped through the fire the correct way. Harry noted with a slight annoyance as the man could have explained the correct way of using that weird magic. "Yeah, Dad," agreed Ginny, grinning cheekily. "Where'd you find him? Can you find another for Amy?" she asked laughingly. "Hey, who said you get this one?" argued Amanda. Harry winced. That was so wrong, but looking at her he wondered whether he could find it in him to turn her down, or whether he would want to. Arthur chuckled, amused at their crazy antics. "No, he's actually looking for your parents, Amanda. He's a lawyer with something he needs to speak with them about, but I haven't got time to escort him there and back." "Oh, a lawyer," cooed Amanda cheerfully. "Hey Dad, aren't we all supposed to be at the order meeting at Amy's in a few minutes anyway?" asked Ginny, looking surprised. Harry frowned but wasn't worried. It just meant the whole of this order would discover that the Potter parents were bastards. "Yeah, but I can't get off work with all of the mess earlier. Anyway, I was there and saw that Cyber Knight, and that brilliant robot thing, so I don't really need to be there. I wish I could have seen them." "I bet the Cyber Knight is really cute," whined Amy, pouting cutely. "How would you know?" asked Ginny with her own sweet pout. "Dad said he was wearing a helmet." "But he's a hero, aren't all heroes supposed to be cute?" she retorted smugly. "Look at me, I'm cute," she added, sticking out her pink little tongue at her friend. "Okay girl, I'll concede, you win this one," Ginny replied laughingly. Arthur coughed, regaining their attention. "Well, I'll leave you two to take Mr. Avalon to see Lily and James," he said, getting a bye from each before he was quick to leave via the fire. "Avalon," Amy said with a thoughtful frown. "Like Camelot and all of that stuff?" Harry shrugged while laughing. "I guess so. Either of you two have any brothers or sisters?" he asked curiously. He figured it was as good a way as any to ask Amanda without asking and make it sound like he was just making small talk. Ginny rolled her eyes, looking annoyed. "I have 6 brothers. Do you want one?" she asked hopefully, her eyes brightening at the thought. Harry laughed while rolling his eyes. "No thanks. How about you, Amanda?" "Oh, just call me Amy," she said. Then Ginny cut in. "Hey, I thought I was the only one to get away with calling you that." Amy shrugged, grinning. "Nah, to be honest I like it, I just like being difficult. Anyway, he's super cute, which would make him the exception anyway," she said laughingly as she returned her attention back to Harry. "Unfortunately, I don't," she said with a sad sigh while Ginny seemed to snicker silently. "Sometimes it feels like I'm missing something, so I suppose I always wanted one," she shrugged, and her grin returned. "Why'd you ask? Do you have any?" Harry shrugged. "Just small talk," he answered quickly, hoping that didn't sound too corny or suspicious. "I just found out recently that I have a twin sister." "Oh, that must have been nice. What's she like?" she asked with a giant smile, happy for him. "That would be so cool." "Well, she seems nice enough, though I haven't spent enough time with her yet to know for sure." "Hey, why didn't you know you have a twin?" interrupted Ginny, befuddled. Harry smiled sadly and shrugged. "My parents sent me away when I was a baby and kept her. I hope to soon find out why." He shrugged sadly. "Well, you said something about a meeting. You're going to be late if we don't hurry." The girls noticed the quick change in subject but didn't say anything, as they knew it was probably a fresh and touchy subject for him. "Well, come on then," agreed Ginny with what she hoped was a supportive smile and not anything too flirty, as she showed them to a flower pot full of what they called flu powder. Harry felt a grimace coming on as Seraph spoke to him. "Great, I have a ton of people geeking out for more bandwidth-intensive scans of the network. Internally groaning, Harry took some of the powder with Amanda right next to him as she took some too. "Yeah, I don't like this either," Amanda agreed sheepishly to Harry's pale expression. "Just try to keep walking as you enter the flames and you should stick the landing, but even we screw it up sometimes and we've been doing it for years." Harry nodded and smiled as Amanda gave him her address, and a moment later, he was stepping through the emerald flames once more. To be continued. Thank you very much for listening. I thought I would try something new to me. That was when I got